Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and this is a Rivian R1S. This is Rivian's fully electric SUV. We're gonna find out if it lives up to the hype. Before we get into this video though, a huge shout out and link to the Ken Gar Ford here in American Fork, Utah for giving me some time with this Rivian R1S. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below. They obviously sell the new Ford product, but they also have a ton of really cool pre-owned inventory as well, so definitely check them out. And then on a side note, if you wanna save time and money, the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Let's start things off by going over the EV specs. So we have a 135 kilowatt hour battery pack paired to a quad electric motor setup. Total system output is about 800 horsepower and then about 900 pound-feet of torque. And then this gives you 316 miles of electric driving range. Now this is charged to 100% and it only states about 270 miles of range. So a little bit of a discrepancy there. Now we're actually going to start with the key fob, which we usually show at the end because, well, first off, it's cool because it's a carabiner. You also have the little wristband and then you also have the card as well. There's lots of different ways to, I guess, open this up. Anyways, we've got some functions. We got for like the hatch, we have this for the front, and then your lock and unlock, and well, the hatch actually opened. That's cool. And when I say hatch, I actually meant front. Anyways, you guys can see we've got a little bag there for the charging cable and everything. Decent storage space, and we actually have the original window sticker here. No wonder this person sold it. $82,000 was the original MSRP on this particular one. And well, let's just say that the market on these is quite a bit higher than that. But anyways, that's the frunk. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, notice how it's kind of like raised on either side, and then of course you got the Rivian badge there in the center. Now I've got Rivian's super distinctive light bar here on the front end, and notice how it illuminates when you unlock it. And then when you lock it, it actually makes the little chirping sound, which is kind of cool. We do have tow hooks here on the front end, and then you guys can see we actually have some underbody protection as well as fog lights there, which is pretty cool. And then in like max height, this has something like 15 inches of ground clearance, something ridiculous because, well, it has air suspension. But putting it all together, honestly, you know, I don't think it's like the most handsome looking vehicle, but I will say it looks pretty sweet. Now another feature is gonna be the charging port, so you can press that little thing right there and that'll open it up. You can also open it from inside. Of course it has DC fast charging, but you can use a regular charger if you want. And then I'm pretty sure you can just press that again and then boom, closes right up. Now popping around the side here, tire wheel setup is 275, 65, 20 in the front and over in the rear as well. And the reason why it has 20s as an off-roader is because look at the size of the caliper and then the rotor, pretty large. So yeah, you're gonna have to go for a bigger wheel just to fit that whole setup. But I will say these tires are very aggressive. Now this is pretty interesting. You just have like the unpainted fender flares there, and then same thing with the trim on the side. We got our Rivian logo here on the side as well. And then you can see the pop-out door handles, and then of course another Rivian badge there on the side. And then taking a look at the side view here of the R1S, I will say this looks substantially better than the R1T, just my personal opinion. Well, I guess we got that key fob again, because now we got to open up the rear hatch. Now popping into the back here, you guys can see we actually have a little tailgate, which is pretty sweet. And then notice we have those controls there to lower down the seats. And then we have a built-in air compressor as well. It's pretty fancy. And then we also have some more storage underneath as well. And you know, in terms of storage behind the third row, for the size of SUV this is, it's actually pretty dang reasonable. I will give them that. And then with this, you just have to lift it up. This just unlatches it. You actually have to pull it down yourself, which I find interesting. And then when you're actually done with this, you just press that button right there and that will close the hatch. Now we've got another light bar here in the back, just a Rivian thing, and then of course Rivian, and then R1S, and then we do have parking sensors there at the bottom as well. And then finishing things up, I think the Rivian style just looks a lot better on an SUV than a truck. It just, I don't know, it just works. Now taking a look at the door panel, just like the R1T, really nice material use. Fit and finish is actually very solid as well. Like, it's very tight looking and feeling. You can see our window control right there, and then speaker for the Meridian sound system. So they did a good job. And then here are the seats. Really like the design on them. It says Rivian right there. And then notice it's like perforated down the center. So again, material use is nice, and then fit and finish is great too. And I like these mats. Now legroom here in the second row is actually pretty solid. We've got a little storage pocket here with more carabiner action. You can see a little holder here with the USB. And then we do have some vents here for the rear. We have our own climate zone for either side. And then it looks like we got heated seats as well, some more USBs, so pretty solid. And then headroom back here is also good. Don't worry, I'd never forget this feature. Cup holder armrest. Now getting the third row is pretty easy. Just press that and then it'll kind of roll forward. I will say though, this is not a huge gap. So this is one of those SUVs that has what I would consider an almost useless third row. So legroom, meh. You got a cup holder here. I do like that we have nice padding back here. Like, this makes it feel upscale, so they did a good job with that. We have a vent back here as well. So like, that part of it's solid. And the seats back here also look very nice. I mean, you can see it's got the Rivian logo. They're just as nice as the second row seats. And headroom, frankly, is good back here. And also, we actually have like a glass roof here, so it makes it feel more open. So it's like a nice place to be. It's just cramped. But before we move on to the next feature of this vehicle, we need to talk about today's sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Now, nobody wants to get into a car accident, an accident at their workplace, or, you know, slip and fall in front of a business, but sometimes it just happens to be a part of life. And I can speak about this from a place of personal experience, because when I was 17 years old, I got in a really bad car accident where my car got totaled out. And because I didn't know anything about insurance companies or getting help by a law firm, I basically got completely screwed in the situation where I got no money for my totaled car and I was left without a vehicle. And this is where Morgan & Morgan can help out. They are America's largest injury law firm with over 100 offices, over 800 lawyers, and over 4,000 case staff that are all ready to help you out. Now, I know at this point you might be thinking, Ben, that sounds really expensive, but here is the deal. All of the court hearings, the research, the negotiation, and more are free unless you win. And so if you're involved in some sort of personal accident, whether it be a slip and fall accident, an accident at your workplace, or maybe a car accident similar to what I was involved in, then you might want to get help from Morgan & Morgan. And don't feel bad that you're going down the route of suing. I know a lot of people might feel guilty about this, but what you have to understand is you're not suing the person or the business. You're suing their insurance company that has billions upon billions of dollars. And so it's more about making sure that you get the compensation that you deserve. So again, if you're injured in an accident, then you can check out Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy, or you can give them a call at pound 529, which is pound law. I think that's so cool that they got that number reserved. But again, www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy. Let's get back into the review. And now taking a look at the front door panel here, you guys can see again with the material use, blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. But yeah, it looks fantastic. All the window controls here, door handle, got a little storage area, again, for the Meridian sound system. I will say though, closing the door, it doesn't, I don't know, it has this kind of like weird feel. It almost feels kind of like flimsy sometimes. It's not horrible, but I just figured I'd mention that. And then also, of course, we got the flashlight that everyone likes to talk about that is in the door. And then here's the front seat. You guys can see again, Rivian there, and then notice how it's perforated all down the center portion. We've got our adjustments here on the side, Rivian logo, and then our pedal layout. Again, I like the floor mats, they're pretty cool. But yeah, look at like all the trim here. That also looks fantastic and really nice like feel there, so cool. Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Listen to this. This feels kind of flimsy. So here's a look at the steering wheel. Again, really nice material use, and yeah, just look at all the trim, looks fantastic. We've got our controls that control, well, multiple things depending on what you select there in the center. Similar to Tesla, which is fine. And then behind it, we got our turn signal, some windshield wiper stock, and then you guys can see we have a column shifter with this. And then here is our center gauge cluster. Notice we got a little nav map right there. And then you guys can see with our transmission select. And like I said, it's fully charged and it says we've got 274 miles of range. But notice, once I basically put it into gear, then it like fully starts up and it kind of lets you know what's happening with cars around you. And again, it reminds me of Tesla quite a bit, frankly. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera here with trajectory lines. They do turn with the steering wheel. We also have the bird's eye view as well. This is something that some people have complained about, is the camera system. It's not the greatest, but I mean, this is not a huge crossover, so it frankly just needs a backup camera. So the fact it has 360, it's cool. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, first off, I like how the climate stuff is easily accessible. Same thing with like the heated seats, just that control right there. And then we have like a little shortcut bar here, and then like for the volume control, so you don't have to dive through a bunch of different menus to access that. So I really appreciate that part of it. And then the drive mode select is pretty cool. We have a bunch of different drive modes, and then if we go to the off-road mode, we have even more modes for off-roading conditions. So that I think is pretty sweet. It's raising the suspension because off-road mode. And you can also do that. You can set it to auto if you want, or you can basically set it up however you want. And then I like how it tells you exactly what it is with the regen system, the ride, and all that kind of stuff too. And I suppose diving into some other menus here, if you pop on the little Rivian logo, then this is like something that's important for, like, you know, opening the hood, the charging port, your lift gate, all that kind of stuff. And then the adjustments, again, like I said, a lot of that, you press this and then you'll do it on the steering wheel itself. So again, it's just, I don't know, this infotainment system makes sense. It's really intuitive, it's easy to use, and I actually feel like this is pretty nicely integrated into the dash. Yes, it's kind of a tablet plopped on, but they also have some like trim here at the bottom and at the top to kind of, I don't know, make it feel like it fits a little bit better. And then you guys can see here on the dash, and then Rivian yet again, which is pretty cool. No glove box. I find that super strange. And then notice we've got another Rivian logo here with some more storage. And then of course we have the little like boombox thing that you can take out with you. We'll call it the boombox. It's a speaker that you can take out, I guess, if you're going camping and you want to listen to music. And then the center console is interesting because it's electronic with the release. My backpack got in the way there. But yeah, decent storage space with some more USB action. Nice padding here on the top, and then you can see you get some free TRX keys here with the I'm just kidding. But I feel like the center console design is pretty solid. And then we just have a regular rear view mirror. It would have been nice to have a camera mirror, especially considering it's a 3-row SUV. Anyways, a really nice headliner. You guys can kind of see on the pillars there. And then you got really cool looking grab handles here. I'll pop over to this one because it'll show up better on camera. And then you can also see the headliner now. And then obviously full glass roof as well. Now you guys saw the MSRP earlier, but in terms of like actual market value, I think these have been selling for like $90, $100,000+ because yeah, it's a new electric car and everyone's excited about new electric cars like this. Anyways, let's drive it. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility of the hood. Both of the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring, and throughout the rest of the rear. And well, let's set off. So I do want to quickly clear something up. If you follow my channel, then you might think that I hate Rivian. I do not hate Rivian. I just feel like I need to be the voice of reason in the Rivian situation because it seems like every single auto journalist has nothing but good things to say about it. And like, you know, Doug DeMuro, right, the biggest automotive journalist here on YouTube, he voted the R1T as car of the year for 1 year, and then he voted this as car of the year for like 2022 or something like that. And so like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying these guys are paid off or anything like that because, you know, obviously I have no evidence, but like, it just seems very suspicious to me that, you know, this startup company, right, somehow has the best product in the car industry, right? It just seems kind of suspect to me. And, you know, reviewing them, like, we'll talk about how this drives. These things drive pretty well, but there's a lot of other vehicles that I would say drive better than this, both EV and non-EV. But I do think this is pretty cool. And I will say, the thing that does impress me about this R1S is the build quality on this, although still not great, especially like the rattling at the door, is a lot better than the R1Ts that I first reviewed because those had a bunch of features that didn't work half the time. Like the key fob, it's like I would press stuff and nothing would happen. Whereas I can tell you, like, while reviewing this, everything worked. So it seems like Rivian's build quality and everything is improving, which I think that is a big plus. So I'll give them that. And I will say this thing's comfortable. Ride quality is good. Something that I heard from a lot of journalists is that the R1T rides better than the R1S because of the longer wheelbase, and I can kind of attest to that. It doesn't ride bad. It's still smooth, but you can feel that this is shorter, so it doesn't have the same kind of cloud-like feel. It's kind of like when you drive a Bronco Raptor and then an F-150 Raptor. Yeah, this is rougher, that's for sure. I did not, like this chatter that I'm getting right now, I did not get that. Let me make sure that we are in proper, we're just in all-purpose mode, standard. Ride is apparently soft, which it's, wow. Yes, this is what I'm talking about, is this gets voted as car of the year, and you guys know I own a Gen 3 Raptor. That rides better than this. My wife's Land Rover Defender with air suspension, which I feel like is more similar to this. Obviously it's not fully electric, but it's an air suspension unibody vehicle. That rides way better than this. So yeah, it's kind of clunky over bumps and everything. Huh. Yeah, this is not comfortable. Like, it's not, when I say it's not comfortable, it's not like bad, but surprising, honestly. But I will say, aside from that, seat comfort's really good. It's quiet. There's more rattling than I expect for an $80,000 vehicle that's selling for over $100,000 in today's market, right? Yeah, that's crazy. Huh. Yeah, I will say like, I mean, I know I'm talking like ride quality, like half this review, but the R1T rides a lot better than this. So that's kind of confirmed. Yeah, the biggest disappointment is over bumps. The damping over bumps is not good. It's supposed to be an off-roader. So, and we'll pop into the sport mode. It's gonna make the ride stiff apparently, so it's gonna be even stiffer. Good gravy. What are we in for today? Let's see what the turning radius is like. I don't even know. Okay, yeah, this is the turning radius. I will say, like, I wasn't even doing like full crank. So turning radius is really good with this. Power band's very smooth. So it's even stiffer. Good gravy. Okay, so we are going to get an acceleration here. We'll brake boost it a little bit. Ooh! Wow. That's fast. I was not expecting this to be that fast for an SUV. That's impressive. That hurt. That reminds me of like plaid levels of acceleration. My stomach hurts now. Good job on that, Rivian. You gave me a stomach ache. But I will say that was fun. That was a blast. Man, this thing's fast. Holy crap. Wow. Wow. Maybe that's why all the journalists, they accelerated. That acceleration's so fun that it kind of makes up for like all the shortcomings, almost, I'd say. That's kind of funny. That's so stiff. Oh my gosh. Sheesh. Okay, I'm done. So summing things up, I love how this looks. I love the interior. They do need to work on their build quality though. Again, some of the stuff is very tight, but some of the stuff isn't. But I will say, Rivian has improved a massive amount since I first reviewed the R1Ts, so they're making improvements, which you can't say the same for Tesla. Just saying. You know, I thought that I was gonna like this more than the R1T, but I leave this review liking the R1T more. Even though I like the looks of this more, the R1T rides better. It has cooler features because it has a gear tunnel and everything. This is so uncomfortable. Like, yeah, they need to go back to the drawing board with the air suspension and everything. Talk to Land Rover, Rivian, because this is not good at all for an air suspension car. I mean, I had a couple years ago, I had a Ram Rebel with Ram's air suspension, which is not a great system. It's 2018 Rebel, and that thing rode better than this. So, yeah, I don't know what's up. But let me know what you guys think about the R1S.